It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here. Today on the big program, lots to get to, lots to talk about. Marjorie, three names. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, saying, hey, she believes white men are the most persecuted identity in America. Oh, how cute. And look, I gotta tell you, as a white guy, she's sticking up for me. Thanks, Marjorie. Thanks. If only she weren't so crazy. And this is one of those things where you go, this is the woman who said, she likes, lights and refrigeration and air conditioning. And if we go to solar panels and windmills, that all of that's going to go away. And we're just going to be standing around looking at each other. Now, it's one of those things where you go, is she really that stupid, or is she really brilliant at faking it? And I don't know. I think I'm going with A. I think I'm going with A. Now, talking about persecuted white men, I have found the Senate race that I am going to be paying a lot of attention to going forward. It's the U.S. Senate race in New Hampshire, because evidently a bunch of the Republican races, they're pulling money out of, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. But New Hampshire, they got a libertarian candidate who, again, this is that quiet part that you whisper to each other. People whisper to each other, but never dumb enough to either write down for social media to see, or you blurt out in public. This is the kind of stuff that years ago, if you'd believed it, you didn't say it because it got you all the wrong kind of attention. But today, oh no, today, quiet part, they're basically screaming. Now, a commentator put out a graph on how much more liberal younger women are to younger men. And this person said, well, of course, that's because that 19th Amendment thing, that was the death of liberty. It was the death of liberty, that whole. And for those who don't know what the 19th Amendment was, that's what gave women the right to vote. So by having women have the right to vote in this libertarian gentleman's, in this white guy's view, death of liberty. Death of liberty. Yeah. Now, these are the very same people who, my libertarian friends, who say, everyone should be equal and everyone should use their talents and there should be no laws and there should be chaos and anarchy. And yeah, but women, you getting the right to vote? Death of liberty. Death of liberty. Now, speaking of death of liberty, Kansas just had a little vote not too long ago. Ladies, this might be important to you. Basically not putting in their state's constitution an amendment to bar your right to have a choice over your own body. Oh, but the Kansas elections director has said, well, what we're going to do? We're going to do a hand recount of every county in the state. No, it's not going to change the results because it was an overwhelming number of votes. I don't even think Trump could imagine. Well, maybe they could. Maybe the Trumpkins can. Yeah, I'm thinking the MAGA world would buy into 165,000 votes were cast illegally in a state the size of Kansas. I'm sure of that, especially with all of the right-wing people who were overseeing with Chris Kobach and his clan, lurking around. I'm sure it was possible. But there's going to be a hand recount of all the votes. I'm not sure who's going to pay for it. And it's a good thing because Kansas, education's fully funded. They're going to school 4 days a week now, right? I think they're back to 4. Maybe someday when they fund it a little better, they'll get to 5. They're flush with cash, so they can waste it on counting an election that they just got creamed on. But hey, got to stick with the fantasy that that elections are rigged. And this is what the Trump era has brought us. This kind of divisive division, this kind of, you're in your polar camps based on what hat you're wearing or what T-shirt you bought. That elections don't seem to matter. And I was thinking about this over the weekend. Kevin McCarthy, asked the Reagan question, are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? And to a person, you have to go, life-wise, yeah. We're not locked down. There's toilet paper on the shelves. The economy's doing, unemployment's, at a historic low. All this stuff, yes, so much, worlds better. But depending on what hat or T-shirt you bought, your view is skewed. I know a lot of people who are doing financially really, really well, miserable, because their guy isn't, torturing the others. Which brings us to happy anniversary to the Unite the Right folks, because today was the day a president recognized you as a good person. You may remember Heather Heyer was murdered at the Unite the Right rally back in 2017. Some person in a car ran into a crowd of people and killed her. Neo-Nazi skinhead pinhead from Ohio. And that got Trump to respond on this day back in 2017 with the famous, there are fine people on both sides, very fine people on both sides comment. So happy anniversary to that. Now, again, this is one of those moments where it's kind of historic in my view, at least in my lifetime. I've never heard a sitting president throw a shout out to the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists. This is the anniversary of a presidential, hey, fist bump to our Nazi friends. And that's why you've got one running for governor here in Pennsylvania and a couple others around the country. So, yeah, big fun. Now, I spent the weekend basically with whiplash, going back and forth between which excuse Trump was throwing out and which excuse MAGA world was throwing out, and all of the mental gymnastics of justifying why Trump had these classified documents. Because I think right now, it's out that these were classified documents, that these are important documents, that he had them. Remember at first you go, oh, wait a second. No, they were planted. No, they're not planted anymore. And when the planted story came out, my first thought was going, uh-oh, this must be bad. If immediately first club out of the bag, they're planted, means really bad stuff. And the more we're finding out, the more we're going, oh, crud, really bad stuff. Horrible stuff we don't want in the hands of just anyone. And now that story has evolved. I mean, you got to give the right credit. They can spin a yard. They can make stuff up like the best of them. Now it is evidently, and I asked this question last week of our guest Bob Ney, could Trump have signed an executive order out the door saying, I declassify everything? And, for my personal use, I declassify. And the answer is no, he couldn't have done that without everybody knowing about it. That's not one of those things you can really do in secret and stick in the drawer. That's the argument that they're making now, that he declassified all this stuff so he can just wave his hand. It's like magic. It's like Trumpian magic. He, just by waving his hand, it's something in the orange skin, it just wipes away the classification. It's gone. And it's declassified. And he can use it however he sees fit. Because now what we're finding out, and the fun of finding out what's kind of in here, what's being told is payroll information about assets potentially around the world. So potentially they had all of the names of potential covert operatives all around the world. And you go, why would he be having this? For what purpose? Now remember, my initial thought was, hey, he just wants to have stuff marked classified. So go, hey, look what I've got. I'm now coming around to the idea that maybe, possibly, this is blackmail stuff. This is selling stuff. And I'm not conspiratorial by any stretch of the imagination, but why would you take the payroll information of potential covert operatives around the world, other than to twist some arms. Now here's the thing. Now the right is saying, no, see what this is all about is covering up the Russia hoax, because what he was doing, he was ferreting out all of the Russia stuff. And I'm going, well, if that were true, he was president for 4 years. This stuff should have been coming out all during the time when he was in office, because he did have an FBI. In fact, we still have the FBI director that he chose. So he chose someone that was loyal to him, or supposedly. Shouldn't all this stuff have been coming out? Why was there going to be a book? Are we going to have to pay $200 to find out the truth that it was a Russia hoax? Is that what the game was? Was this a money-making scheme? Another bad picture book that we were going to have of stolen documents again? Is this where we were going to go? And sadly, this seems to be the argument that they're making. So the question I have is, are you buying this? Are you buying that, no, we didn't have anything, it was planted? No, wait a second, we had stuff. Now remember, Friday I said, I got 87 emails of right-wing groups and Republican Party groups and all these pro-Trump groups going, hey, they raided Trump's house, be outraged, you're next, send us money. And I said, it's Grifter's Super Bowl. They're going to fleece the flock because it's what they do. Today, four. Which leads me to believe that even they're not buying the giant, steaming, smelly pile of BS that the Orange Menace is shoveling. That even they are going, this is a bridge too far. The flock might wake up. The flock may go, oh, wait a second, we've actually been fleeced. They may figure out that they have no clothes. And they may demand, I don't know, something. Now, the true believer crowd, never. But the everyone else, potentially. I'd love to hear your thoughts. 1-866-416-RICK. 1-866-416-7425. Are you buying the flip-flopping story, the all-around-the-world story, no, he was really playing Columbo. He was investigating the Russia hoax. No, he was one of the Hardy Boys. That's it. That's it. He was Donald Hardy. He was one of the Mystery Machine. He was Scooby or Shaggy. He was ferreting out the Russia hoax. You buying any of this nonsense? Because it's what they're shoveling. A past president this is what they're selling. This is the argument for why he had to break the law. Had to do it. Because we're ferreting down to the truth. Wow. Gonna take a quick break. Right back with your thoughts. 1-866-416-RICK. 1-866-416-7425. This is The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania to the auto factories of Michigan to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
The best way to strengthen America's economy? How about investing in America's fastest growing industry, clean energy? We're talking jobs, millions of them, the type that pay well and can't be outsourced. Because the thing about clean energy, it's all right here, American made. It means lower utility costs for families, and it's how we take on climate change. An investment in clean energy is a big win. Congress, let's get it done.
So, a Pennsylvania man was arrested for making threats to the FBI, evidently claiming on Gab that all FBI agents deserve to die. Kind of like the Cincinnati guy. He said his only goal is to kill more of them before I drop. He compares the FBI to the Nazi SS and the KGB. He says that I'll shoot an SS officer in the head just as quick as I'd shoot a KGB officer in the head. Police state scum or police state scum, period. Yeah, get ready for a lot more of this fun and entertainment from our geniuses. Let's go to the phones. Got CJ from Madison, Wisconsin on the line. CJ, how are we doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for taking my call, Rick.
Sure, go.
I am a conservative in Madison, Wisconsin, which, reality, we live on State Street when we saw it torn down with the riots and the crime. And
what riots?
Our
what riots?
Mayor did nothing.
What riots are you talking about?
Me?
There were riots in Madison?
Had some severe damage done.
Whoa, stop, CJ. Which riots are you
Street.
talking about? In Madison?
Yes.
When? What year?
Isn't it sad that you don't even know?
Because there were no riots. What are you talking about? 2011?
Well, just like this.
Are you talking about 2011?
No, I'm talking relatively recently, 2020.
Madison was
Biden
Madison.
did
There were
nothing.
riots where
But,
businesses were destroyed in Madison. Because I
Yeah,
got friends who
very
live in
many.
Madison. They've never mentioned this.
I'm sure they did.
There were protests.
Democrat press.
No, there were protests. There were
know,
people in the
We
streets.
got an
Absolutely.
anniversary- We got a 1-year anniversary of the Commander cut and run and cost 13 soldiers' lives. Trump had a conditional withdrawal, and he kept 2,500 military there.
Again, everything
Now
that
we
Joe
got
Biden had to
famine
clean
and
up was left
disarray.
behind because of Trump. All of the stuff that happened at the end of
Yeah.
that, CJ, was because Trump put that deadline. Remember when conservatives and Republicans were against deadlines? But isn't that exactly what Donald Trump did to Joe Biden? Wasn't that exactly what happened? Of course it was
Are you
exactly what
aware
happened.
that
I'll
one of
answer
those
it for you.
soldiers
We both
that
know the
died-
truth.
One of those soldiers that died, his younger
Again,
brother,
back to what I said. We both know the truth.
and it's on
All right, CJ, I appreciate the time, buddy. Let's move along. We'll go to Alice on line 3. No, this is the thing that gets me. I ask a simple question, can't get a simple answer. Alice, what's on your mind?
Oh, I just wanted to say you forgot one thing when you were talking about the Republicans and their talking points. You mean that you missed it when, I forget who it was from the Federalist Society said, and I'm not even joking, and I'm going to paraphrase and sum it up. He basically said that, well, a president and President Trump could have just thought it in his head and it was done. They were declassified, and I'm not even joking.
Yeah, no, these are the arguments that we get. But but here's the fun part of all this. Hillary Clinton testified for 11 hours, never pled the fifth once, and still has her passports.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I thought, oh my God, these people live, I don't know what world they live in, what alternate universe that, and now it's so absurd. It's like, all he has to do is think it. It doesn't even have to speak it out loud, and it's declassified. I thought, I don't even know what reality you people are living in. But have a good evening,
Thanks,
Rick.
Alice. Appreciate it. No, this is, again, I'd love to hear your thoughts. 1-866-416-RICK, 1-866-416-7425. And my friends in Madison, I'd love to hear about these riots, these mystery riots. I guess it's like the Bowling Green Massacre. I must have missed that. But please do share if you were there. If there are photos, by all means. 1-866-416-RICK, 1-866-416-7425. Now, but, Alice makes an interesting point, just how they stay on message. And you got to give the right credit. They have built a massive media empire where, look, they disseminate their talking point of the day. Because I specifically asked my friend, former congressman, someone who knows the ins and outs of things, how they get classified, how you get them declassified. And he said, look, the president could declassify them, but you would have known about it. There are no secret executive orders, no pocket executive orders that go in a drawer somewhere, just like a get out of jail free card. You don't get to do that. But this is what the claim is by the right. That all of the things that were in his possession, somehow he preemptively declassified. I guess it's that old Nixon. Well, if the president does it, then it's not a crime. Problem is, he's not the president anymore. Let's go to the phones. Got Jeff from Atlanta on line 3. Jeff, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, Richard, but currently right now I'm working out of Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, good on you. Love Columbus.
Well, I do too, because I want to give a shout out to local 172 for putting all of us out of towners to work, because there's no work in Atlanta. So
what are you building up there?
I'm on multiple projects.
Okay.
Because one, the chip plan passed. They're going to be building a chip plant north of Columbus, and
yeah. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind? Hit me up.
Well, I've got a couple of things. I've missed you for the last couple of weeks because I've been working so many hours and crashing so early. But that's why I had to write some notes down. You may have already crossed these bridges, but if Trump wasn't hiding anything, what does he have to worry about? Remember, he said only the mob takes the fifth.
Yep.
And he wants to know who ratted him out. Well, it could have been one of the Secret Service agents who's doing his job.
That was my guess.
So many people aren't doing their jobs. And then remember all those stickers that had Joe Biden pointing his index finger saying, "I did that"?
Yep.
Well, I got to tell you, they're still pointing at the gas pumps while the gas pumps are going down.
But oddly enough, they've been disappearing.
No, not at my place.
Okay, good.
I clear coated it. So they got to dig through the clear coat paint to get to that. So
there you go.
And while the great state of Kentucky, Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell scramble to support Trump, I think they're going to be in the same quicksand that pulls him down. And like I told you, your state of birth is currently booming. So that's a good thing for the state of Ohio.
No, it is. I mean, there's a lot of investment going on in there, and again, it comes back down to the infrastructure bill. It comes back to the investments that we're making that the vast majority of Republicans didn't support, and this is the sad reality of where we are. Based on what hat you bought for the last election, you're going to side with, hey, we need to invest in America, we need to defend our borders, or we don't. I mean, it's a very weird kind of world that we're in, Jeff, right now, where we can't seem to agree on things outside of the polar political stakes that have been jammed into the ground.
Well, when I first came up to Columbus, I was staying with a cousin, and that was until the per diem kicked in, and they are very pro-Trump, very pro-Republican. And I was like, why? You people run an independent business, and businesses do better under a democratic government. People have more free money to spend.
Right.
And they're like, oh, no. And so the word right to work came up. And they're like, well, right to work is great. It means everybody can work. I said, wrong. It means the right to work for less. And second of all, I read in your local Columbus Times how a couple teachers quit their jobs teaching to go to work for Walmart because Walmart paid more. So tell me how that's better.
That is a sad testament to the system that we've got propped up around us. But Jeff, I appreciate you giving me a yell. I wish you the best there in Columbus. I know you're going to do great work there, and I hope you get home real soon.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'll still be listening.
Good stuff. Appreciate it, man. And please call back again soon. Love to hear your thoughts. You can email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. If you miss any portion of the program, make sure you grab the podcast. Wherever you get your favorite podcast, you'll find ours. Quick break. Right back. Stick around.
America, let's do what we do best. Build. We have an opportunity to rebuild our economy, fight climate change, and create millions of jobs in the fastest growing industry in the country. Clean energy. But we must grab this moment before it slips away. American workers are ready. Now, Congress, it's up to you. We can achieve our clean energy future if we act now.
It doesn't matter what kind of weather. It doesn't matter what time of day or night. When Mother Nature's done her worst, the only thing that matters to us is keeping the lights on for you. the hardworking women and men of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, dedicated to keeping the power on in communities all across the country. Because when bad weather strikes, we know what matters most. IBEW, the power professionals.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Check out our website, thericksmithshow.com. So Tuesday, big primary, Alaska, Wyoming. Normally, we're never talking about the primaries in Alaska and in Wyoming. In fact, I don't think most people can find Wyoming on the map. Sad testament to our education system. But this year, kind of interesting. In Alaska, you've got what's going on with the congressional race. Maybe we get Sarah Palin in Congress, which would compete with Lauren Boebert and Marjorie, 3 names to see who could be crazier. I think Sarah's going to be outclassed, but we'll see. But also Lisa Murkowski, does she stay in the Senate? Yeah, probably. But also, Wyoming. Wyoming, where Liz Cheney looks like she's going to get shellacked for doing the right thing. And while I don't like Liz Cheney, I think she's evil. I think she's a monster policy-wise. At least in this, she's right. And I stand with her on this. But here to share some thoughts on the big primary, I've asked Carolyn Fiddler to come talk with us. Carolyn is the political editorial director over at Courier Newsroom. Carolyn, thanks for taking time for us.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So, primary day, generally nobody cares about these states. Why now?
Because Liz Cheney stood up and did the right thing in one very important instance, namely standing up for democracy and standing against the rioters back January 6th, 2021. And she's going to lose because of it. And it's sad because a Republican is going to represent Wyoming anyway.
Right.
So, she has her problems. Yes, she is a monster policy-wise, but the person who is likely to beat her is even worse somehow and is not pro-democracy. So,
and this is where I go back to the whole Trumpian argument that they're going to drain the swamp. We're going to drain the swamp. And when the first time I heard that, I go, yeah, maybe they're going to. Maybe they're going to drain the swamp, but they're going to put much bigger and much uglier monsters in the swamp. And it's exactly what we're seeing. They're filling every bit of space with ugly monsters.
Yeah. They got rid of the alligators and they thought, whoa, crocodiles would be fine. Just peachy.
Yeah. But let's talk about the Alaska race because, look, I think Sarah Palin's time has passed of being the crazy of the party. Just like Michelle Bachmann. I used to love Michelle Bachmann.
Oh my gosh.
She was fun, crazy.
I hadn't thought about her in a long time.
But I used to love Michelle Bachmann because she was fun, kind of crazy. She's a little kooky, religious zealoty kind of over there, but not mean, evil, rip your heart out and shove it down someone's throat kind of crazy. Yeah. I see that becoming the way of the party now. It's kind of frightening.
Yeah, the definition of quote unquote crazy right-wing extremism has absolutely shifted over the past decade, and it's been terrifying to watch. Yeah, Michelle Bachmann used to be a scary outlier in her own party, and now we're nostalgic for Michelle Bachmann. Like, what does that say? That's bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, when you're pining, you're going, Nixon wasn't such a bad guy.
Oh God.
I mean, this is where we are, Carolyn. Yeah. We're in this moment where you go, Reagan, while he destroyed the country and had horrible policies that, just ruined the middle class and destroyed opportunity for millions, he wasn't that bad.
I don't know. His stuff had such lasting impacts, though, in terms of badness, that I think he gets an extra couple notches on the evil scale just for how effective he was.
And that's true. But here's the thing. Again, like all cult leaders, he had staying power because they worship him. In fact, I had a conversation with a MAGA hat wearing Trump acquaintance who thinks, Reagan is a saint. And you go, but you do realize that the things don't match up, that what you believe isn't reality. Because Reagan wasn't.
People hated Reagan now. I thought he was no longer cool with them.
No, this guy, I guess he didn't get the memo. It wasn't in this month's installment of,
the MAGA Monthly. He skipped it.
He might. Well, it's not like they read. I mean, that's the other part of it. The pop-up must have lost its pop-up. I don't know.
There we go.
Maybe they missed the little finger pointing thing, but but I got into this conversation, and it what isn't even reality anymore. Because if you remember last week, Kevin McCarthy came out and asked that question: "Are you better off than you were 2 years ago?" And I think virtually everybody I've talked to, economically, going, yeah, is life better? And then you go put it in the political frame. You've got people who go, no, things are much worse off. And you go, how can you come to that other than you bought the hat and the T-shirt?
Yes. Often literally. Yes. No, 2 years ago, things were much scarier. Like, I remember just being scared every day of the pandemic, what was going to happen, my friends and relatives' jobs. It was a time of just extreme uncertainty, and uncertainty is so terrifying. And at least now we kind of know what's going on. We're used to the uncertainty to a point, and certain things have righted themselves. The economy came back. We got back all the jobs we lost in COVID. It's amazing.
And then some.
Yeah.
And we're doing massive investments in the future. There's a lot of good things happening, and yet there are people who think the country's on the wrong track and we're all going to where in a handbag. So the question that I have is, does it even matter to ask that question anymore? Are you better off? Because it's never going to matter again like it did in the past. Because even if you're doing really well, if your guy, whoever you're wearing the T-shirt for, didn't win, you're miserable. And isn't that a horrible place to be in?
It is a horrible place to be, but those hat and T-shirt folks are really loud, but they're not everybody. They're not the majority. Like most humans, people who sat out, the last election maybe, or maybe just took a chance on Trump in 2016, those folks do think about whether or not they're better off. And that question still matters to most voters.
I hope so. I'm hoping so, because look, I'm watching right-wing media, and maybe that's my problem. I consume too much of the F channel, and then all of the sister crazy, all the rest of the alphabet soup of wealth-funded, outlandish nonsense that gets put out. But I do consume way too much of that, and I didn't hear anything about the CHIPS bill. I didn't hear anything about the Inflation Reduction Act and the positives coming out of that. I did hear, however, how AR-14 carrying gun thugs from the IRS are going to kick in my door and steal my children. I did hear that.
It's very specific. Is that to cover like your unpaid taxes? We'll just take the kid in exchange. It's no big deal.
I don't know actually, but I did hear.
It's back. You get the kid back. It's absolutely bonkers. They latched onto the MAGA T-shirt and hat crowd. They latched onto this one part of an amazing piece of legislation and decided to distort it, shockingly, the IRS thing. The IRS's sort of infrastructure itself internally is just so outdated. Like they actually, no one's pro IRS, but I'm pro them being able to do their jobs. Like it's a bad scene over there.
Yeah, but here again, this is another one of those things where the right, you have to give them credit. They've had this chew toy for a very long time. They've primed their audience to viscerally hate the IRS. And look, I'm not a big fan either.
Right.
Nobody is.
Like, yay, IRS.
It's like, yeah, I like my dentist. I hate going to the dentist, and I've never had a cavity. So, there's that. But, it's a necessary thing. You've got to pay your bills. You've got to invest in things. And when
it's also about security, too. Like, IRS has a boatload of Americans' data, and there's, them being so behind technologically puts all that at risk. I am shocked there hasn't been a massive data breach already, frankly.
Yeah,
we're lucky.
There is that. But the thing is that the right grabs onto this chew toy like the IRS, because you remember back in 2010 they were going after the IRS is targeting Tea Party groups.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
I do.
No, they're targeting criminals.
Yeah, it was a fantasy. It was a fantasy, and because those Tea Party groups were actually doing illegal things.
Yes. So when you break the law, this is how and what I find ironic is these are the people who tell me they're the law and order crowd. Then when they break the law, now they're talking about defunding and killing FBI agents. Very kind of strange times, I think.
Yeah, no, these people understand that our policing and legal system is actually fundamentally inequitable. But as long as it doesn't specifically impact them, they're okay with it. once that comes home to roost for them, and there are a lot of problems in our legal and justice system for sure, and the way that policing is handled in the United States. But as long as they don't suffer, they don't care. They think the inequality is a feature, not a bug.
Yep. No, and this is where, again, this is where the right is masterful. And their investment in all those think tanks and all those focus groups really pays off, because now I've got to almost defend the FBI and almost defend the IRS. And look, I got massive problems with both of them too. I don't want to be their defender, but when they're not wrong, they're not wrong.
They win the Broken Clock Award. Yay.
Exactly. See how that works? And when someone's wrong, like, oh, I don't know, stealing classified documents, we shouldn't have to go through, a weekend of mental gymnastics to come up with a fantasy tale of how, magically a former president has power to, to declassify things just by waving his hands or standing on one foot and hopping while picking his nose. It's just ludicrous.
Double secret declassification.
That's it. Is there a secret declassification dance? I do now need to know. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Maybe we'll try it. Send videos. That's it. Send videos.
Yes, we need some TikToks of the declassification dance straight away.
Yeah, because the Chinese absolutely need more crappy data from the U.S. You're listening to the Rick Smith Show here with Carolyn Fiddler. She's the political editorial director at Courier Newsroom. CourierNewsroom.com is their website if you want to check out the work that they do there. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the classified documents. From what I'm hearing, from what the reports are coming out, a lot to be concerned about here, especially about the fact the payroll data of people, assets, agents around the world. Why I'm
speaking of national security, thinking of security issues and data breaches. Woo.
Yeah. Other than blackmail, why would you have these?
I mean, maybe the Saudis golf tournament that was hosted at the Trump Golf Club was supposed to be a place for information to be. That's bonkers. That's QAnon level conspiracy stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going with you there.
It is also just like, we don't know what he's up to, because he could be up to anything. Like Trump has demonstrated time and time again that there's no floor, there is no bottom.
Yeah, wasn't that one of the sale points that the right used to be? He's unpredictable.
Yeah, what was I saying earlier about not being able to know what the future holds being scary? Like, uncertainty is terrifying. I find Trump terrifying because
now the thing is,
you're not certain what he's going to do next.
I don't think there was going to be any transfer at the golf outing. I don't think the winner was going to get the secret documents.
No.
But I do have to question the $2 billion that Jared Kushner got. I do have to question the money that Mnuchin got from the Saudis, and why there were what strings were attached to that, considering that the people who approved that money in Saudi Arabia said, no, this is a bad deal. We shouldn't do this, but we're overridden by Mr. Bonesaw.
Jesus. Yeah, we're going to be unpacking the corruption of the Trump administration for years and years to come. Like, we have the immediate problem of preserving democracy right now, and that should be our priority. But there was just so much corruption and quid pro quo and things I'm sure that we haven't even thought of yet that happened in that administration that it hasn't even begun to come out.
I got to tell you, though, if I have to pick a team as an observer, if I'm watching purely for the entertainment value of this entire horrible situation, I'm going to side with the storytelling on the right, because, man, they've got a much better fantasy team. They dream up much better things, and then they disseminate it to the masses much more efficiently than the truth. So there's part of me that goes, I think they're gonna come out with the better tale.
They do have an interesting story, but it's just a story, and everyone knows facts have a well-known liberal bias. So
there is always that. There is always that. So the last line of questioning I've got in this, because I've got friends who they're so excited. They're so excited that Trump's going to finally get the orange jumpsuit and be on the side of the road picking up litter.
Oh, bless them. Tell them to not hold their breaths. I'm so sorry.
And then you see there are already pieces out there of Democrats surrendering, saying, oh, how can we do limited pardons, which is just kind of dumb. I'm in the middle. I want to know what it is what happened. I want to know what the documents were. We never will on that front, but I want someone held accountable, and then I want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I think that's kind of important.
It's pretty essential at this point. Trump did a great job of illuminating all the flaws in our democracy, and also tearing away at them for 4 years plus. So
see, now this is where maybe we're going to differ a little bit. I don't give Trump that much credit. I don't think he's that smart.
Oh no, I'm not saying he did it on purpose.
Oh no, I think they know exactly what they're doing. John Eastman was probably thinking about that. There was a think tank out dreaming up the Eastman plan. This is where the right-wing establishment, all of the think tanks and all the focus groups they do, and all the smart people they pay to dream up bad ideas. This is where, as Milton Friedman said, it's what's laying around when crisis hits. These are the ideas that have been laying around in conservative circles for decades. It's only Trump who is the one who's going, oh yeah, what the hell? What do we got to lose other than the entire country?
No, he's not smart enough to come up with half these ideas on his own, but he's smart enough to know that they were effective disruptors.
Yeah. So I know I said last question, but predictions for the big primary on Tuesday. How bad does Cheney get slaughtered? Does she run for president? And Palin Murkowski, do they make it?
I think Murkowski makes it. I'm less sold on Palin making it. I wonder how tired of her Alaskans might be. My money's on Begich there, but and I like to think that the margin in Wyoming is not going to be like super huge, but she might get her butt handed to her.
No chance she pulls it out. No chance the Democrats come rushing in with that wonderful endorsement.
Not that optimistic.
Okay, not that optimistic. No. Still, good on her for doing the right thing. I never thought I would say good on a Cheney for doing the right thing.
Right, that's where we are now.
Yes, that is where we are. But Carolyn, I appreciate the time. Always great talking with you. I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Likewise. Thank you.
Outstanding. Carolyn Fiddler, the political editorial director of our Career Newsroom, careernewsroom.com, the website if you want to check out the work that they do. Fabulous stuff. Highly suggest you take a look at it. Quick break. Right back with your thoughts. 1-866-416-RICK. 1-866-416-7425.
It takes a lot to raise a family. A good job, a good salary, and some patience. A lot of people my age are drowning in college debt. But I chose a different path. I'm a member of the IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I work hard for my job, and I love what I do. I had a lot of choices for my future, but I made the best choice for my family. IBEW, the right choice.
I've been driving buses for 5 years, and my day-to-day routine is I wake up a little earlier than most people. I get on a bus, I go out, I pick up some students and make sure they get to school nice and safe. Here in Fairbanks, Alaska, that can be a challenge because of the winter weather and the icy roads. But I love the job. So the Teamsters are great. They provide us a lot of protections. They've always taken care of their people, made sure that our jobs were secure. We didn't have to worry about whether or not we'd have a job from day to day.
And that's amazing because before we'd be working 4, 6, 8 hours a day and only earning minimum wage was real difficult to make a living. Then the Teamsters pushed the law so we make something we can live off of and not have to have a second job. What absolutely gives me peace of mind, the union membership allows me to focus on this job without having to worry about whether or not my family is going to be taken care of. I'm Andrew Case and I'm proud to be Teamsters Local 959.
You're listening to The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.
Got an email during the break. It's one of those things where you just go. Mary writes, I live in Madison, Wisconsin. I don't have any idea what your previous caller was talking about. There have been no riots in Madison. I don't know if he was talking about all the workers who came out in 2011. I don't know if he was talking about the demonstrations that we've been having over the years, but there have been no riots. I repeat, no riots. Now, here's the thing, Mary. If someone could define a riot as, people that they don't necessarily identify with demanding their rights, that could be considered a riot in certain circles. It's all in your definition, because these are the same people who don't view January 6th as a riot or anything. It was just, if you listen to them, it was a patriotic day. Stabbing policemen with flags and beating them with shields and bear spray in the eyes and kicking and punching and all. That was a patriotic day of good God-fearing Christians, doing what they do. Now, as far as 2011, I've had people go, oh, that was a riot. I was there. I was in Madison. Met a lot of people. Love the people of Madison. I was in Madison for the first almost 2 weeks, and I remember driving to Madison for the second day of the uprising. And I kept hearing news reports, the tensions are high, almost said, hey, there's going to be a riot. Now, look, when I was younger, I didn't mind tussling around a bit. You get into some stuff. So I was kind of going, hey, well, let's see what this is like. I'm not against, bumping around a bit. So I'm expecting, tensions to be high. I'm expecting anger and, I'm expecting a riot, because that's what they're telling me as I'm driving the 800 miles to get there. The whole way they're going, it's a riot. And I'm going, I'm expecting a riot. So we park the car, we get out and go, let's go to the riot. Yay, riot. Kind of excited about this. Haven't been to a riot. Oh boy, it's my first riot. So I'm walking on the grounds of the Capitol, and there's this little old lady about 90 years old who is seated in a wheelchair with a cardboard sign, and I've got the picture somewhere on one of my computers, was saying Union Thug on it. So here's this cute little old lady with a sign around her face saying Union Thug, and she hands me a sweet potato. I'm going, wait a second. This isn't what I was expecting for a riot. So I walk about 100 yards further, and then I got my producer and the camera person with me, and we're marching along, and we come to another guy who hands me a bratwurst, and I'm going, wait a second. What is this, a food riot? And I'll tell you, during the time I was there, never fed better. It was the best fed riot ever. The cleanest riot. And I say this because I want people to remember what happened in 2011 when Scott Walker went and basically gutted employment rights in the state of Wisconsin. Something he never ran on. Act 10 did horrible damage to workers in the state of Wisconsin. But those TAs, the people who led that uprising, the people who actually read the piece of legislation and protested against the massive education cuts and all of the draconian things that Walker wanted to do, those people organized an incredible demonstration and occupation. They set up areas for people to get fed, for people to get first aid if they needed it, for child care if they needed that. There were things already in place for people to, if they needed help, to get the help they needed. In fact, I'll still never forget, and I'll never forget the girl. There are a couple of them that I'll never forget. There was a girl on her hands and knees. There were a couple of them, but there were the one I talked to, scrubbing the floor of the Capitol because someone had got some kind of glue on the floor. She's on her hands and knees scrubbing, and she goes, I don't want to leave a mark. I don't want to deface our state's property. And I said, if only your parents could see you now. Because those kids did an amazing job. And to have someone say, no, it's a riot. No, that was democracy in action. That's what the democratic process is about. People going and seeking redress of their grievances. So you're right. There are no riots in Madison. And I love the people of Madison. I love the city. It's a beautiful place. It's sad. It's sad when people try to make stuff up like that. Kind of troubling. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Email me, Rick@thericksmithshow.com. Were you there in 2011? Am I missing this mythical riot? Is it like the Bowling Green massacre? Did I miss that too? Rick at thericksmithshow.com. If you miss any of the program, make sure you grab the podcast.
Over 70 years of experience in heart and aviation, the members of the Association of Flight Attendants know the realities of the aircraft cabin better than anyone. We don't just serve drinks, we save lives. We don't just negotiate contracts, we move major policy issues like the smoking ban, no knives on planes, clean water, and safe food on board. The air we breathe matters, and we stop the spraying of poisonous pesticides. Training, rest, and no calls on planes matter as we fight fires, de-escalate conflict, revive, and breathe life. We safely usher passengers to the big business deal, the family vacation, the times of celebration, times of grief, and times of battle. We are aviation's first responders, and we are the last line of defense in aviation security. We are the first impression and the smile of aviation, connecting the people of our nations. Fly with us, partner with us, make progress with us. The Association of Flight Attendants. Stronger together, better together.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring.
Do you ever sit and wonder? Because this is where I spend a bit of time thinking. And look, love this country passionately. But I see our divisions as the thing that is our great undoing. The more we eat each other, the more we rip each other apart, the more we're not dealing with big problems. Big problems, war around the world, famine around the world, climate change. Fortunately, the Biden administration, did usher through recently this Inflation Reduction Act, which is going to do a little bit to move on climate, a little bit. I think it's already sealed. I think, sadly, my kids and my grandchildren are going to suffer enormous penalties for our inactions. For instance, a new study's just popped up that's saying there's going to be an extreme heat belt that will extend from Texas all the way to Illinois. And they define this as an area where temperatures could reach at least 125 degrees Fahrenheit, at least one day a year by 2053. 2053 is not all that far down the road. And imagine 125 degrees. I know, it's a dry heat. No, it's 125 freaking degrees. And you think about what's going to happen with all of the movement of people in this country and the lack of resources to care for our citizens. I have people going, what are you going to do about immigration? What are you going to do about, this? What about, the transgenders? I don't care. What about Hunter Biden's laptop? Don't care. Don't care about Hunter Biden's laptop even a little bit. Unless he's got classified material on his laptop, unless you can prove that he was using our government to fleece somebody or he was doing something illegal in that vein, which they have not, don't care about his laptop. That's for the criminal justice system. They'll figure it out. There'll be an investigation. There'll be subpoenas. There'll be warrants. They'll figure it out. But as a matter of this is what we're talking about politically, don't care. I care about the fact that they're saying California is going to have massive problems with storms of the future that could have, massive droughts to massive flooding. And we're horribly unprepared. And is it because we don't care or we're just plain stupid? I don't know what the reason is. But being this ripped apart and this divided, not helpful. Now, the reality is most of us alive today not gonna feel the real true costs and the real true ramifications of inaction. But our children and our grandchildren will. And maybe that doesn't matter to you. Sad stuff. Love to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Appreciate you tuning in. If you miss any of the program, make sure you grab the podcast. Wherever you get yours, you'll find ours. Thanks for being here. See you next time.
You've been listening to The Rick Smith Show. Email Rick at rick@thericksmithshow.com. Until next time, this has been The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.